Hi, and welcome to another round of Tuesday Trivia from the International Gaming Institute at UNLV. I'm Michael Green of the UNLV History Department, and this week's question had a couple of minor tricks to it. One of the choices for the journalist who covered the mob was Bob Woodward, who seems to have covered everything else. Actually, Watergate had some connections to Las Vegas, and maybe we'll explore that in the future. Edward R. Murrow did a See It Now episode. See It Now was his documentary where he had done the famous one about Joseph McCarthy, and he did one on Las Vegas that was actually very laid back. It was not a real investigative piece. Al Kalin was the longtime top editor and publisher at the Review Journal and had a long journalism career here. The correct answer was Ned Day. And I had the pleasure of knowing Ned Day a little bit, not as well as some other people around here did, but a little bit about him. Ned Day came from Milwaukee, and he had been involved in a few scrapes there, and apparently worked at one point for Frank Balistreri, who was the mob boss in Milwaukee. He decided to get out of Milwaukee, partly because of the things Balistreri was doing. He had a friend named Mike Maxiculi, who later became Mickey the Mope in old Ned Day columns, and Maxiculi was involved in a few scrapes out here as well, and he was out in Las Vegas and apparently helped scout for Ned, who got a job reporting at a newspaper called the Valley Times. And we even have our own little version of it, because I worked there as a reporter after Ned did. And trust me, I was not the reporter Ned was. Ned uncovered a lot about organized crime working there from around 1976 to 81 and continued when he went to the Review Journal as a columnist in 81. At about that time, he also went to work at Channel 8, reporting, ultimately anchoring, and working behind the scenes at its newscasts. Ned uncovered just about everything you can think of about the mob that went on here that was later depicted, for example, in the movie Casino. And Ned himself is not really portrayed in it, but his reporting brought a lot of attention to what the Stardust and Argent Corporation people were doing, what went on at the Tropicana Hotel with Joe Augusto and the Kansas City mob, and a lot of other things involving Tony Spilatro, who was considered the boss of the streets here, the figure from Chicago whose job was to make sure the skim worked. Ned took them on. He used to call Spilatro a fireplug in human form, and at one point, whether it was Spilatro or somebody else, they blew up his car. And Ned was not in the car at the time, and being Ned, he did not have auto insurance either. I think they destroyed a set of golf clubs, and that was about all that went wrong. But Ned's reporting helped inspire a lot of civic opposition to the mob and what it was doing. He also benefited from working with some other fine reporters and editors at the Valley Times in particular. Linda Fess, who now has an ad agency and later, after the period I'm talking about, was married to Bob Fess, the legendary gaming lawyer. Linda had a friend named Dennis Gomes, who's familiar to some of you. He was a regulator and later a casino executive. He was one of Ned's sources, but went through Linda, so Ned didn't actually talk to him. Ned tended to work the streets, and one of the great stories about him is the night that there was the arrest of a culinary union leader. Ned's phone had 5 lines, and literally most of the evening he was picking up from different lines to get more information on the culinary guy. All these people were calling to talk to him. Sad to say, Ned died while on vacation in Hawaii in 1987, and his memory still lingers here among a lot of old friends. Plus, he did a wonderful documentary on Las Vegas called The Mob on the Run with his friend and colleague Bob Stoldall. Another friend and colleague, George Knapp, updated a bit, and you can see the original documentary still on YouTube. It's still, I think, the best Las Vegas documentary, frankly. But at any rate, Ned used to close his reports by saying, "I thought you'd like to know." When it comes to Ned Day, we thought you needed to know.